So I believe we are streaming live. I'm just going to verify yet one or two more settings, and voila! I believe
There we are.
we are live now, and we should be live in multiple feeds. That being said, I would like to welcome everybody for joining us today here on A Word's Worth with Green Irene. Joining me is our wonderful friend, Craig McEachern. McEachern? I never do pronounce your name. Sorry.
McEachern. Yeah.
McEachern. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's just stick to calling you Craig. Cannabis Buddy
Yeah, let's stick with it. Or the dude, or yeah, whatever.
The dude.
It's all
You
good.
know what? Everybody's the dude these days. You don't want to be just the dude.
Yeah,
you gotta
man.
have something a little more exciting than that. And with your music background
True.
and your musical talent, you'll have to put that to use. We're gonna make you, I don't know,
Yeah,
Cannabis
for sure.
Craig or something. How you doing, Craig?
Pretty good. Just little damp here in central Ontario, but that's okay. We've got wonderful topics and cannabis stuff to discuss, and I'm always excited to do that. So that's great.
Yeah, there's a lot to be discussed. And this week, I'm really focusing a lot on anxiety. Now, I'm not sure if you caught the article. I try and get it out Sunday evening or Monday, and it's kind of the theme for the week for spitballing conversations. This week in particular, I'm focusing on anxiety because I've seen a lot happening in the social media arena where people are starting to get antsy, and a lot of people are using the term stir crazy. That's an old prison term, and it means to go nuts in solitude. So we don't want people doing that. There's a good chance that there's a little bit more going on than stir crazy solitude. Have you yourself any experience with anxiety?
I do, yeah. I had very, very high negative stressor anxiety. It would prompt seizures in me. And then, they're handling past traumatic episodes brings that anxiety and balls it up and just doesn't allow my brain to really keep tabs on what's truly important. The anxiety kind of runs things. So yeah, I'm well versed in it, and I have had experience for sure.
Yeah, I think many of us, especially those of us who have been on any forms of pharmaceutical or synthetic treatments, have learned that those synthetic treatments only work for a short period of time, and there is residual effects like once you stop using them, there's still residual effects. One of the most common ones that doctors tend to put people on are gabapentin or GABA, which are inhibitors for the brain. So today we're going to talk about some of the alternative therapies that we use for anxiety. I myself have three very particular favorite methods or strategies that I employ when I start to feel anxious or I recognize personal behaviors that indicate an underlying anxiety is swelling. How about yourself? What kind of
understood.
What you're as for you? What
well, Sorry, I just cut out a little bit, so I apologize. Little things that I use to manage stress. Absolutely. The one thing is, if you know that your negative stressor is affecting you and it's right in front of you, the best thing you can do is you remove yourself from that particular stressor. I've been seeing a lot of things that have happened over the last decade, even since the dawn of social media, which a lot of us are very, very focused on right now, is that we don't know when to quit. So that's my number one tool, is just removing myself from that stressful situation, giving myself some meditation time to downgrade things, to clear the mind, to, find yourself some balance and then give yourself your next directive. I find that with meditation, you can clear all the extra noise that's been going on in your head. But once that happens, you should find yourself in a position to say, okay, what is the smart or the healthy way to take the next step forward? Which that's how I typically approach those situations.
That's an excellent method and means of approaching the situation. And the reason I say that is I promote meditation all the time. You're absolutely right. It helps slow down the noise. It gets rid of all of that extraneous noise. People find that meditation is too difficult, or it's too simple, or you have no idea how stressed I am. You can't possibly, meditation is not going to fix this. Because the problem is so big, it is conditioned in human nature to believe that the solution has to be equally big. From the time we were small children, we're taught that if you want great things, you have to work real hard. Well, guess what? Anxiety, you didn't talk yourself into anxiety, you can't talk yourself out. But you allowed your body to go into overdrive spinning, you can provide it 5 minutes of slow down time. And that's one of the great powers of meditation, is to take that 5 to 15 minutes to just sit and force yourself to concentrate on nothing more than your breathing. Candles really do help. I found a lot of first-time meditators using a candle, the flame from the candle, they're able to focus and zone in on that. Now, do you have any other methods that you use beyond just, I know what I'm trying to say here, besides just meditative techniques? So before I ask you that, actually, let me ask you, when you do meditation, are you using guided meditations like from YouTube, or do you use meditative techniques that you've been taught, perhaps read in a book, or like Kim, was it something that came naturally to you and you found you just labeled it meditation?
That's a great question. What happened is initially, early on as a teen, I was always go, 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 go. I was always going. So I was trying to be taught meditation. So at that point, I couldn't learn it. So I don't know why and I don't know how, but as time went on and I was approached to do new things and have new coping mechanisms, I now use micro meditation. So even if it's 15 seconds, it's 15 seconds of less noise and a little more clarity. So it came from when I started studying Buddhism as well, because there is a Taoist and a Buddhist component to that, and that opened up my need to learn. So I started just doing it myself and just deep breathing techniques and clear thought. No real guided meditations, no videos. I just found small moments to do it.
Okay,
And that's where I came to.
Cool. I really like that term, micro meditations. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and maybe that's the way to start practicing.
Yeah.
I find I can meditate, go into a nice deep meditation for up to a little more than 20 minutes, where I can zone out completely and let the whole world around me just continue without me while I live in my own personal headspace. But I had never considered micro meditations, and I can see how they would be very, very effective, especially prior to an event or prior to coming on the scene, that sort of thing. in that case, though, when I find I'm starting to get very, very anxious because I'm about to, I've just been approached to deal with something, or I'm about to step out on stage unprepared, or, hey, Irene, can you go live in 5 minutes? Shit. My favorite go-to at that
Fully
point,
versed on those as well. Yeah.
this is my saving grace.
Yeah.
Cannabis has been a very, very effective tool that helps facilitate the slowing down of the activity in the brain. It helps me to focus on
Absolutely.
1 to 3 thoughts so that I can then get a calmer physiology. I get that enveloped calmness. Do you utilize cannabis for meditation or for relaxing or to deal with the anxiety?
I do. I do, especially when there's other aspects of life that are kind of covered and out of the way. I make a specific time. I utilize knowledge of strains and terpene profiles in accordance to what work for me. And it's a long journey to find those things because it's such a holistic plant. But if you do take the time and you have discovered certain genetics that are great, at this point in time, there's been so many new phenotypes and different strains crossed with one another that have uniquely balanced, cannabinoids that can work in many different situations. So for me, I typically use a sativa in my active daily routines, but a balanced sativa hybrid with a Durban poison or a Girl Guide cookies or some of those genetics allow me to calmly and then, markedly be attentive to these types of situations that, the anxiety, the anxious, gee, I got to do this. And then you go, okay, well, I know the strain and I know how much of that strain, and it's not like a panic anymore. It's more like, okay, we're good now.
And that's what we're all hoping to achieve ultimately, isn't it? We just want to know what we can utilize when we need it and how to utilize it effectively, or how to use it effectively. When it comes to cannabis strains,
absolutely,
I have 3 or 4 favorites. And I've identified all of them in the blog at www.renirene.ca. Just look up anxiety, and you'll find today's episode as well as the full write-up with some great links too. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out yet or not, Craig, but there's some good links in there.
I have.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to do that quiz on anxiety? There's like 3 quizzes.
I haven't done. No, I haven't had a chance yet. I'm going to do that after, but I haven't had a chance. We had a few other things we had to deal with before I hopped on here. But no, some of the strain selection, I understood it completely because certain strains also have pain relief attributes to it. So you get more than what that anxiety, but it has other attributes as well that can apply to you. So I got that part, and I like that a lot.
One of my favorite, I don't know, I was actually just checking out my other system there to see if I actually identified AK-47 as one of my favorites, because when it comes to meditation especially, or anxiety is what I should say, when it comes to anxiety, I find the AK-47 gives me just enough of a relief with that blanketed calmness that I can manage my breathing, control my breathing activity, which allows for greater mind control, if you will.
I get you. Yeah, that makes sense. AK-47 is pretty popular for those attributes, for sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Now, do you have a favorite that you prefer? Do you have an absolute favorite? Do you have a favorite strain that you like to use, or when dealing with anxiety, of course?
Well, as I said, like the when it comes to anxiety, especially for a busy or a hurried mind, but without a lot of the domineering Kush attributes, chemo seems to be very, very relaxing. There's something about it. It has some pain uh, relinquishing qualities. A few patients that I've talked to, they reinforce that with me. It's just very, very relaxing, and they
I've,
can still, stay in the pocket. And a lot of creatives. I work with a lot of creative people, being in music and that. But it seems to be a very popular strain for that. And you also manage. You mentioned Granddaddy Purple as well.
oh, yes.
A lot of the purple strains I find are great for it.
Okay. Sorry, the one you said before, Granddaddy Purple. What was that you were identifying there? I couldn't quite make out what you had
Chemo.
said. Chemo? Is that
Oh,
I'm gonna
yes.
yeah, okay. I'm gonna add it to our screen here. And that's chemo
Yeah,
is a thing off of ChemDog, isn't it? That's part of the ChemDog strain?
it is.
Okay. Oops, Como is what I'm typing there. Chemo or ChemDog. Yeah, ChemDog was one of my favorites.
Hmm.
Back in the day, I haven't had it in years, so I never even thought to add that to the list. So, chemo or ChemDog is recommended by Craig with respect to what to use for anxiety. There's a quote by Stephen Covey, and it says, "I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions." And that is so true. We have a choice right now as to whether or not we want to allow our busy brains and the monkeys in there to take control of our lives, or do we want to take control of our minds so that ultimately, again, I insist on saying, let's emerge from this pandemic or this experience empowered. We have this time available to us right now. Let's use it to our advantage. Cannabis definitely can reduce anxiety. There's no question about that. Some of the other strains, I just found them. White Widow. Oh my. White Widow is a sativa dominant. Do you have any experience with that, Craig?
Yeah, it's a nice strain. That comes from some classic genetics, and it was one I used when I was 20 years ago. Didn't even know. Back then it was more like, oh, here we go. But I always found much more relaxed, and ability to focus went up, and that those are win-wins for what I treat, and I would highly suggest it. Yeah.
White Widow, yeah. White Widow I just did a double check here, and it's between 18 and 25% THC on average. The
Hmm.
CBD count in White Widow is very minimal and would not have any effects, but it does. It gives a full bodied, spacey sort of a high. It's excellent for
Hmm.
PTSD sufferers. Another one that I really,
Yeah,
really
and I
like.
find with ChemDog that's the same. What's that?
ChemDog, you find the same that you get that it's excellent for PTSD.
Hmm.
Do you know, I've
Yeah,
heard it
for sure.
recommended by a lot of people for PTSD. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I started researching ChemDog. Another
Yeah.
one of my favorites for anxiety or dealing with anxiety is Sour OG. Sour OG comes from sour diesel, which I love the effects of sour diesel, but I hate the taste and something to do with the
Yeah, the
terpenoids.
gas terpenes, yeah. The
Yeah.
gas terpenes are weird. Yeah. I and but then again, I know a few folks who who swear by it, and it's just more like, oh, it's gassy. I know how that's going to feel. So it's a terpene effect that in the mind that it's identifiable, and they know it'll treat those particular symptoms that they're looking for. You know?
That's right. That's
But,
right.
yeah, I can see how sour OG would be in there too.
Well, and this is it, because I'm not a huge fan of the sour diesel because of the terpenes and the flavonoids and stuff that are in it. I find it's just a little too potent for my senses, not so much for my mind, but for my senses as far as smells and flavors, which is one of the reasons why I really like the sour OG. It's a combination of OG Kush and sour diesel, so it kind of it removes some of that diesel-y kind of taste or flavor.
Oh, for sure.
Now, sour
yeah,
OG,
I get that.
Yeah, and it's a hybrid, and it has less THC, somewhere between 13 and 17% THC in it. Again, the CBD count, cannabinoid isn't worthy of even addressing. Another great one though is cherry pie. Now I have two favorites here, and I couldn't make up my mind. It really was a twist up between the two. It was either cherry pie or cherry bomb. Cherry bomb, I think, won, even though cherry pie made it to the article.
Well, and would it be due to the flavonoids and the terpenes on the? Because I find that one of the big indicators is, fruit terpenes and flavonoids, citrus terpenes and flavonoids. They give that alleviated, there is a pleasant experience mentally with that.
It's very interesting you'd say that. Aromatherapy, there is so much to be said for aromatherapy. I myself am not experienced with any sort of treatment programs, nor have I done any real studying in it, but I do know a few people who have, and I haven't had the opportunity to sit and chat with them, but I think I might. And when I do, I think that's what we'll talk is about some of the fruitier terpenoids that are found in cannabis, and to find out if this is why we get that elevated, joyful feeling. I wonder if the fruity terpenoids or terpenes or citrusy terpenes, if they are accelerators of anandamide. Anandamide's that little joy molecule that jumps across the nerves in the brain. So before we run out of time,
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to them. Before we run out of time, I do want to talk a little bit about Granddaddy Purple. This is an indica dominant, my absolute, by far, above and beyond all else favorite for evening anxiety or middle of the night anxiety. This is also better known, Granddaddy Purple is better known as GDP, and it's a cross between Big Bud and Big Bud and Purple Urkel. Purple Urkel.
Thank you. I couldn't access it myself. That's it.
Yeah, it's got a really high THC count, almost markedly. I've never seen it lower than 20, 25. It's usually more in the range of 25 to 30% THC. Again, super high indica, great for bedtime. Also great for reducing the anxiety, the stress, the worries, the fear, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the frustration, all that shit of the day. A couple of puffs on a vaporizer of Granddaddy Purple will put you right to sleep. It's like, it's almost as good as a bedtime story from Papa.
It's on the list to revisit. It's been a long time since I've enjoyed that strain, but that's a good balance.
Absolutely. So there are a couple of other methods that we can use, or a couple of other alternative treatments for anxiety besides just cannabis. Actually, before we stop the subject of cannabis, I want to point out that there's a multitude of ways to use cannabis effectively if you're not comfortable with the idea of ingesting or inhaling it. There are also wonderful topical solutions. There are fantastic spa solutions that can be used. A great book, until mine is available on Amazon, and that won't be for probably another year or so. I'm going to really promote and plug Sandra's. Sandra Hinchcliffe wrote this book a few years ago, and it's called The Cannabis Spa at Home. In there, she has some great recipes, easy to create, and I have used this myself, modified those recipes because I never follow the rules completely. Modified the recipes and found great spa solutions for myself. Now, I don't know that you could actually take that and go commercial with it, but for personal use, I'm quite happy with it. So that's the last thing I want to say about cannabis as a strategy for anxiety. There is a lot more information available on the blog. Please go to www.greenirene.ca and check out the information that's there. Add your inputs, leave your comments, and share and like the articles if you would, please, if you want to keep these things coming. Some other suggested complementary therapies for anxiety. What else do you do, Craig?
I eat according to mood and energy. I utilize music, exercise, and again, I only do it in brief spurts, just like I do in meditation. But there's just something about actively kickstarting your serotonin that does wonders. So those are some I use.
Absolutely. You ever try yoga?
Yes, I utilize yoga in my stretching. So I'll utilize yoga in my stretching. So I'll either do it before working out or in the middle, anytime. Whenever I just feel that all of a sudden the body is crinkling up and joints aren't moving the way they should, and there's just some kind of tissue or soreness, it's yoga stretches, and yeah, it's wonderful.
Excellent. Yes, yoga is an amazing tool for healthy living, period, and installing healthy habits. So when it comes right down to it, to deal with anxiety, there are 3 recommendations. One is develop some very healthy habits. These can include things like getting activity for your brain and your body. Get some fresh air on a daily basis. Mind your nutrition. Develop a routine. Don't forget, sleep and rest is really important. And of course, socialize. Get some social activities. Share some of those thoughts outside of your head so that they don't fester inside. Meditation is absolutely essential to zoning out, and cannabis can be an amazing vehicle to help facilitate a quality meditative state. On top of that, we have NLP and hypnosis. I won't get into the discussion about that, but if you would like to talk to me or to one of my colleagues about the information related to using NLP hypnosis for reducing anxiety, we can certainly help. Don't be shy. Give us a quick 15-minute chat. It's free. Finally, I guess in conclusion, anxiety is going to affect you physically in a very negative way. So reduce your anxiety, increase your physiology health. On that note, Craig, thank you so much for joining me today. Is there anything else you'd like to say in conclusion?
No, other than, folks, don't lose sight of what's important. Keeping your mental health, your anxiety low. Like Irene said, there's so many tools that can be used in conjunction with cannabis or on its own. Just keep your mind right and your body right, and everything will flow.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today, Craig. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll have you back again next week on a new
Thank you.
subject and a new topic. In the meantime, I'll be definitely sure to tune into you on your 7:10 sessions at Info with Kim Cooper. That is a
That's
great
fun.
social experience. And to the viewers, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, if there's subjects or specific methods that you'd like me to discuss, or if you'd like to join me for a word's worth about any of the subjects or topics that we have going on, please be sure to drop me a line, say something in the comments, and I hope to meet up with you all soon. On that note, stay safe, be healthy, and get strong. Ciao for now. Sorry, this takes a second for me to sign out.